afternoon, this is Max with Hutchinson Construction. I'm your logistics and supply manager. We're going to be reviewing the 350P today. This is one of our most used excavators. We use it for MC to hog out a lot of dirt. It has our biggest buckets on it, a 72-inch bucket. These machines can have several different types of buckets on it. They can have a standard bucket. It can have a standard bucket with rock teeth on it. It can have a rock bucket, which is usually a V-bottom bucket with real aggressive teeth on it. They can have teeth on the back. So like on the job we're doing here, there was rock everywhere. So we've been going through teeth, probably gone through 20, 30 teeth in the amount of time that we've done this project. So keeping them teeth, you really want to replace all of them at the same time, because if you don't, you're going to have one that's longer than the other and it's going to mess with your digging. The machine itself has 271 horsepower to it. All right, the maximum cutting height, meaning that from the arm going up, cutting up as high is 34 foot. The maximum digging depth down is 24 and 3 inches. This thing can dig very high and very low. It's forced to be able to dig on the arm itself. That main arm is actually 41,590 pounds. It can pull a lot. We can set boxes with it. We can set our manholes with it. We use it to unload trucks and load trucks. We use it to load materials into the back of end dumps. It's a very utilized piece of machinery in our line of business. The digging force on this thing is even more. So this is just the bucket curl. It's 55,303 pounds. Its operating, its weight itself is 80,985 pounds, and almost a quarter of it is just the counterweight in the back. That's 15,274 pounds. So just the weight on the back of the machine is some of our other machines' operating weight total. So it's a very versatile piece of equipment. And on this project specifically, we won both utility and mass grading. So, I mean, we're using it on both of them.
Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for coming back to the Civil Matters podcast. Today our guest is Glenn Bates, sales manager with RDO Equipment Company here in DFW. So welcome, Glenn.
Joe, thanks for having me here today.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Appreciate you coming in. We're just going to jump right in. So first, if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, all that kind of stuff, and how you got into equipment business.
Sure. Well, I grew up in a small town in northwest Arkansas, just right outside of Fayetteville, where the university's at. And life was good there. That was back when, everything was hunting and fishing and having fun. And the only thing you had to worry about was just getting home before dark, because mama wasn't happy if you got home after dark.
That's right.
And so it was really a great place to grow up there. I spent all of my childhood there, and super excited to get back there one day, to be honest with you.
It's a beautiful country up there.
It's very beautiful.
Yeah, a lot of golf courses too.
Yeah, up around the Bella Vista area, they're just loaded with golf courses up there for sure.
Yeah. And you're a big golfer.
I dabble in it.
Yeah.
I'm not great at it, but I dabble in it. I sure enjoy playing, yes.
And then, so when did you move?
Well, I graduated high school in 1986, and up there in that area, there wasn't a lot of employment opportunities. Mm-hmm. It was Walmart or it was poultry plants. So I chose Walmart, and so I went into their management program, and I kind of traveled all over the United States working with Walmart, and really cut my teeth with my business prowess, if you will, working with them. They were a great organization.
Still are, in a lot of ways, yeah.
Yes, for sure. And they taught me so much, and at such a young age, the amount of trust that they put in me to step out and run stores. I was running stores before my classmates graduated college. And so college wasn't for me. But I really, really learned a lot from that organization, and I'm so blessed that I had that experience.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, crafted my direction throughout my working career, all of my adult life, those lessons learned there at Walmart.
That's awesome. So then how did you end up settling here in DFW?
Well, I was living in Pennsylvania, and my parents were getting older, and I wanted to relocate back to Arkansas. But once you leave, you can't get back in. That's where everybody wants to go.
Yeah.
So the closest place that I could get was back into the DFW market. And I managed the Walmart store in McKinney when I came back there for a few years. And one thing led to another, and I stayed with them. I was there for 13 years managing stores for them. And one day I just kind of had an epiphany and thought, man, I'm done with this retail. You're on the B schedule. You be there when you open and you be there when you close, and
Yeah.
you be there all the time in between.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm a charismatic guy. I want to step out and, see if I can do something in sales where I could set my own schedule, control my own destiny and those things. So I left Walmart in 1996 and stepped out and landed a job with a company in construction selling technology. Today's technology would be like Topcon or Trimble.
Yeah.
And we pioneered the first versions of that technology that is just a mainstay in construction today.
The GPS machine control technology.
Yeah, all of the machine automation. We
Okay.
put the first one on in the state of Texas
Wow.
to a company called Angelo Iafredi.
Yeah, I know
And
them. Yeah.
yeah, and boy, there were some pains with that project, but we worked through it and we got it working. And when I left the industry in 2008, we had over 300 of those systems running in just a few short years, really.
Wow.
And we had it dialed in and was really making the best of that for the customer experience.
And then where did RDO come in?
Well, I stepped out of the industry in 2008. I kind of run my own business for a while. I got into insurance, and I operated an insurance brokerage, and we were a top 15 brokerage firm across the nation, and run through that for about 4 years. Had a buddy that worked at RDO, and I was looking really to kind of get back into the construction industry. And he encouraged me to apply, so I did, and got hired on with RDO back in 2012, and served my first capacity there as a regional finance manager, and handled all of the financing for the North Texas market. And then in 2014, I stepped into the role that I'm in today as a sales manager.
So throughout your career, it sounds like you found a passion with construction, equipment, technology. Is that fair to say?
Yes, very fair to say. Love everything about it. Construction's a fun business, and the friendships and the partnerships that you create. Realistically, I've been in it almost 30 years now.
Yeah.
And, those partnerships and friendships are priceless. And so thankful that I, stepped back off into the construction, and it's been good to me, and looking forward to a lot more years to come.
So what are some of your the biggest reasons that you like this business other than the relationships and the friendships?
Well, it's truly partnering with our customers.
Yeah.
We all have our strengths and we all have our weaknesses. And just like when you started your business, RDO was very instrumental, I believe, in getting your business up and going.
Absolutely.
And that is what it's all about, is being able to help somebody get started and then watch their growth and their development and their company grow. And it is just so rewarding to witness that and know that you played a small part in that.
Well, not just RDO, but you specifically were a big part of our start, and having some faith and trust in us to do what we say we're going to do, and that was a big part of our start. And I tell everybody when I get the chance, like, if it weren't for folks like Glenn at RDO, like we wouldn't be here today.
Well, the great thing about RDO, Joe, is, they empower us to make decisions on the ground. We don't have to go ask for permission to do these things. And when we get an opportunity to partner with someone like you when you were getting started, it is just such a great thing to know that we can make decisions on the ground that's going to impact your business, and we're going to get you up and running a whole lot faster than you would be able to do it otherwise on your own.
Yeah, I remember when I worked for a previous company, and we were down in the valley, and we were looking for equipment, and I won't mention the competitors by name, but it was not a good experience, and it was RDO that we ended up partnering with for our projects, and it was a similar experience, for a different contractor here in DFW. When we're looking to build an equipment fleet, it was RDO who we chose to partner with. So it was a natural fit for me. Like when we stepped out on our own, like I know who I'm going to call, and it's been fantastic. So really appreciate that. I'd like to take a step back and where does Katie fall into the?
Oh, my precious
timeline?
Katie. Katie's my wife of 17 years. We just celebrated our 17th year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I like to think that I'm a loving husband and a loving father. I think sometimes her opinion of that might be vastly different, but I always revert back to my opinion of it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But no, I met Katie in Fort Worth in 2007. I was still working with the technology company at that point in time. And we did an acquisition of her father's company. And at that time, we were a Trimble dealer, and they were the Topcon dealer. And we made the transition of brands from Trimble to Topcon. We just felt like Topcon offered a more comprehensive solution. Mm-hmm. And so we acquired their business, and I met her through that acquisition. And the rest is history.
It's a cool story.
Very cool.
Very cool. So on our equipment in the civil industry, we're a little bit unique and overall within the construction space because so much of our work is very heavily equipment intensive. John Deere is a major manufacturer, supplier of equipment to not just construction, but ag, forestry. So how does RDO, I think there's some folks out there who don't understand how RDO fits with John Deere, vice versa. Can you explain kind of that connection?
Yes. So RDO Equipment Company is a privately owned company that is a John Deere dealership. And RDO's been around since 1968 when they stepped into their first John Deere dealership. And it's kind of a interesting story. Mr. Offutt was a big potato farmer up in the Minnesota area. And the local John Deere dealer there come to him and said, Mr. Offutt, you're my biggest customer, and I'm stepping out of the business. Would you like to buy my dealership? And Ron was like, I have no idea what it takes to run a dealership. But they got together, they worked through it, and the rest is history.
Wow. So how many stores do they have today? Do you know?
Today, we have 80 stores domestically, and we have operations in Australia, Africa, Ukraine, and Mexico.
That's a pretty good deal he made back then.
Pretty good footprint. Yes, for sure.
And then for John Deere as an equipment company, there's other options out there, but why do you think John Deere is special and within this space?
Well, John Deere and RDO have a really great partnership, and in many ways we operate the same. We believe that if we partner with our customers, And John Deere partners with our customers through an example would be our CAG group, which is a customer advocate group. And John Deere solicits the feedback from our customers for the development and enhancements of existing products and new products. And they invite them to sit on committees and give their feedback of what's good, what's bad, and then John Deere will make those changes. And I think that's probably a little unique in some ways. There's a version of that with other manufacturers, but I don't know that the customer suggestions is always implemented like John Deere does. They really take that to heart, and they really value that customer experience. And as a byproduct of that, they produce a really great product.
Yes, they do. We're firm believers in it, and I feel it's just my perception from running John Deere equipment, but also I do a fair amount of research just to stay up with what's going on. But I feel John Deere has a leg up, and they're going to start pulling away in pretty big ways when it comes to the technology side of things. Do you see that, or
I do.
am I off base?
I totally do, Joe. I think technology, it used to be a concept, and today it's a must-have.
Yeah.
And John Deere is pioneering new technologies all the time. And I know you own a couple of smart grade machines. That was a big innovation to where that you're integrating the technology into the actual tractor, as it used to be just an add-on ancillary thing.
That's right.
And they didn't talk to each other very well. There was issues with that. But now it's 100% integrated. And John Deere is on the cutting edge of all technology, be it autonomous vehicles, be it job site management tools, be it telematics for you to monitor your efficiencies and minimize your downtime and maximize your profitability. And all of that is done through the suite of products that Deere offers. And I believe that they are ahead of the field, as you touched, in that regard.
Absolutely. Do you have any examples? And I had on like what John Deere may be working on today that maybe we haven't heard about yet, or?
Well, just enhancing the suite that they have. I mean, they're really driving into job site management applications where that you can control a job site from a trailer. As we know, labor is scarce, and if you can manage a fleet with an individual versus the old way of doing it, it's much more efficient and it's much more profitable for the construction company.
So let's talk a little bit about the macro trends in the industry and how equipment plays a role in that. So everyone knows we've been dealing with inflation. We just had an election. There's a lot of new folks in government, and there's a lot of things going on there. How do you see that, or how have you seen, and what do you see coming for changes in equipment, and how those in the industry are trying to approach that?
Well, at a macro level, we all know that there's labor shortages, and we hear it all the time. If I could only get more labor, I would buy more equipment. They can't find operators. They can't find laborers. They can't hire management personnel. And all of those, to your point, inflation has had an impact on that. Rising interest rates has had an impact on that. So at a macro level, I believe over the next year to 2 years, we are going to see rates come down. It's going to create more investment opportunities for developers, which is going to create more jobs for you. And just the efficiencies that are coming with the next round of technology and equipment, I really believe that it's going to put John Deere in the best position to win.
Got it. So Do you see any rotation with equipment purchasing? I know a lot of folks that's in my boat that have held off on adding to their fleet or renewing their fleet because of the interest rates in the last 12, 18 months. Do you see that picking up?
Well, I think rates will contract as we go forward, which is going to create a happier buying spirit for the contractors. I do believe that I do believe as that happens, there's going to be some markets that's going to take off, that's going to drive growth. I believe that oil and gas being one segment that's going to take off pretty drastically. Single family homes have kind of been down over the past few years. I believe as interest rates are dropped, I think that will come back and really take off again. So, to me, the future is very bright, and there's more road projects than we can say grace over. I mean, here in Texas, TxDOT is letting at a pace that we have never seen.
Really?
Yes.
So one of the things that I found incredibly useful and helpful was not just the partnership that you yourself and RDO provided us, and ongoing, is the conversations that we have around strategy on equipment. For anyone that's out there today, looking to add to their fleet, as you say, getting prepared and maybe renewing some of those pieces of equipment that they've been wanting to renew, and they're starting to feel maybe now's the time. What would you advise them when it comes to buying versus leasing versus rent? Like, what are some maybe high level key things that you would suggest them look at?
Well, I think when it comes to the buying versus leasing, I think there's core products that you have that you're going to run those products. And I know on the last round of purchases, we had this conversation. You said, I'm gonna drive it till it won't drive no more.
That's right.
And those products that are your mainstay, I think it makes sense to buy those and run them for their life expectancy. And then you have other products that is not a core machine in your fleet. And I think it makes sense to either rent those or lease those on job specific terms. So if you're going to be on a project for 3 years, maybe you do an operating lease on that piece of equipment for 3 years for that specific project. And when it's done, you can walk away from it.
Yeah. Well, for anyone that is, thinking about those different avenues, I highly recommend, speaking with you or, someone on your team. You guys have been great at helping us evaluate the different options and what makes the most sense for our business. So definitely appreciate that. Do you have any right off the cuff, top 3 pieces that you say make sense to buy if you can, or 3 that you don't think is worth buying ever? Like, I hear different opinions from folks within the industry. Just curious what your take is.
Well, I think it's really based off of the customer and the markets that they're in, right?
It's like just pure utilization.
Yeah, I think you want to, have the highest utilization that you can have with all the equipment that you have. And I don't know that it's, machine specific, like a category of a grader versus a dozer versus a skid steer. But I think, the smaller mom and pop contractors, they may have a fleet of skid steers and they need to own all of them, So I think you got to tailor that to the customer that you're working with.
Yeah.
And, going back to what I said a while ago, RDO really loves partnering, and our best wins are when we can partner with somebody that entrusts us and we can sit down and have those open, candid dialogues like you and I have. And we both come out of it winning.
Yeah.
It can never be just a one-sided win.
That's right.
And, there's so much value that we bring RDO as an enterprise that it's game changing at times.
True story. Yeah, I've heard from some folks, the utilization. I'm a big proponent of utilization, but there are pieces to me, like a skid steer. You're not going to have super high utilization on skid steer most of the time. I mean, there's jobs where they do, but most of the projects they're not. But it's something that may not have a high utilization, but when you need it, you need it.
Mm-hmm.
So that, to me, there's some pieces like skid steer that you should own, even though your utilization isn't going to be high. You should still own it because it's going to sit on your job. And when I say utilization, it has to be on the job. It's you need a skid steer when you need it, so it's going to sit there the whole project. So if you're doing that, then you might as well own it.
Oh, for sure.
To me, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And, we're working with a customer right now in the DFW market that utilization is super important to him. And, you get excited, you buy a piece of equipment, you send it out on the job, and you don't realize the cost that you're not seeing by that piece of equipment not being utilized as it should be. And this particular customer reached out and asked if I could compile some data as to what the utilization on a specific excavator class should be. And so I went to Deere and we pulled the data through telematics. And Deere comes back and says, okay, this classification, it should be about 42%, and his was far worse. So what he's uncovered is a training opportunity for his operators to say, look, you can't just start the key in the morning and let it run all day because you're burning my warranty. You're costing me, every hour it's running. If it's not in a production mode, you're costing me money, and it creates training opportunities, and you can either enhance operators or move out bad operators. And with the technology today, we can program start codes for every single operator. So they prints out on a piece of paper that, hey, Joe, you're really good. You're running at, full throttle all day. And hey, Larry, you're not doing so good. You've got, a 70% idle time, and you're both on the same job. That shouldn't be the case. So by partnering as we do, and, them trusting us, and we can dive into that, again, as I said a while ago, it minimizes downtime and maximizes profitability.
We use that, the telematics, quite a bit. Max is always watching it, and he sends out an update on idle time, whether it's high or low, because it's not just the hours that's burning on it, it's also the fuel.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's a big focus of ours is keeping that. If you're in the machine, if it's running, it needs to be working. If it's
absolutely.
not working, and shut it down.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And we had an example of this once where a customer said, my guy is just starting that thing up and running it at full throttle, but we're not getting any more pipe in the ground than we are when it's running at 30%. Right. So, he's just trying to game the system. But again, you create opportunities and you enhance your business by getting better operators in the seat. And, at the end of the day, you're saving yourself money in the long run.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, we sure appreciate y'all's help with us. Let's switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
So you have a foundation. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So in May 15th of 2022, my 11-year-old son was tragically killed in an off-road motor vehicle accident. And, we are still reeling from that to this day. But about 3 days after his passing, I sat on the back porch with a friend of mine and said, we've got to do something. We've got to make a difference in this arena. There's a need. Kids are dying, all the time. So we created a memorial foundation for my son to honor his memory, and to keep Katie and I motivated and driven to make change. And our foundation is all about safety and raising awareness to the inherent dangers of these vehicles. You know, we have all kids, when they want to go deer hunting, they have to go take a gun safety course.
That's right.
And they take that course, they get their license, and then we load them onto an ATV or a UTV, and we send them off into the darkness. And they don't know the first thing about their vehicle that they're on. They're not equipped. Most of the time, they're way oversized for them. And this is where the tragedies occur. So, you know, we've been at that foundation for a couple of years now. We've made some great traction with it. We've fostered some great relationships, and one being with Texas Health Resource Hospitals here in the DFW area. We have partnered with them, and we are their ATV UTV safety organization that they ask us to come and do events with. And then by forging those relationships that we have done through events, they have asked us to be a keynote speaker at their National Trauma Convention in April. And we're going to be the only people on the docket that's not doctors. So
That's super cool.
that should be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's the Noah Bates Foundation.
Yes, the Noah Bates Memorial Foundation. Yes, sir.
So you said you mentioned some other avenues that you've been working on to get this curriculum into as many places as you can. Can you share some of those
Yes.
agencies that you've been talking to?
Yeah, so we have worked with the Texas Brigade, and they are a group. There's several different brigade camps, but they bring kids in for like week-long camps, and they teach them land conservation. It could be a fishing camp. It could be a hunting camp, but they do all kinds of activities. But these kids that come in, you know, they're very shy and reserved. And throughout the week, it's almost like a military boot camp when you go there. And these kids just come alive, and they just are filled with confidence.
Yeah.
And we have had the opportunity to go and work some of those camps and be there and, you know, get these kids on the machines and do a thorough safety walk around and show them things that they should be looking for before they get on one and just take off, you know.
Sure.
So that's been a real blessing. And then again, we did last summer, almost every weekend, we did partnerships with Texas Health Resources for their Super Safety Saturday events.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a huge success, which has opened up doors for us. We've also partnered with police departments like the Burleson Fire Department, Burleson Police Department through events with Texas Health. And they have asked us to come and do solo events with them. So, you know, the sky's the limit, and there's such a need.
Yeah.
And we're just thankful for the opportunities.
That's cool. So where do you see that? Like, what's your vision, your ultimate vision? Like, is it nationwide? Or are you?
Yeah, I'm truly hopeful through the partnerships with the hospital, and then having this incredible opportunity to speak at their trauma center convention, that's going to open up other doors for other hospitals across the country. Mm-hmm. And, you know, our mission, although it's still about raising awareness and promoting safety and educational curriculums to kids, I see this as we move forward probably more as a speaking event. You know, I think we're going to get an opportunity to travel the country and speak and share our personal story, our personal tragedy. But as a result of that, we're going to save a lot of lives in the process, and we're going to open some eyes to what's really going on with these. And look, these things are valuable tools. We are not one of those organizations that are against the use of these vehicles. You know, back in the old day, ranching was done on horseback. You know, that was the horsepower. Well, today ranching is done with ATVs and UTVs. The horsepower has shifted to motorized vehicles. Mm-hmm. And we have to do a better job of educating these kids that, look, these things can hurt you in a bad way if you're not careful.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I mean, no one really taught us anything about. I had an uncle. I mean, I remember what all he said was, you better respect it. If you don't respect it, it'll hurt you. That's all the training we ever got.
Yeah, I had the fortune to meet with Christopher Johnson. He's a former NFL player. He spent 13 years in the league, and he's got a Super Bowl ring with the Baltimore Ravens. And he has kind of partnered up with our foundation, and we did a big filming day a while back, and we made a bunch of videos, and he come and participated in that. And he was involved in an ATV accident in his front yard, and he was hospitalized for in excess of 6 months, and they were not expecting him to survive for a period of time. So I hear people say, parents like, well, my kid's athletic, or my kid's this or that, or they're super responsible. It doesn't matter. We've got to teach safety practices on these, because we've got a Super Bowl champion that almost lost his life just by being uninformed about the vehicle that he was on.
Right. Even in the construction industry, I mean, how many jobs have UTVs on them? And I've seen it where they're abused. So I mean, across the board, I mean, there's so many people that need to be educated on it. So if somebody wanted to help out, support, do you have some ways to do that?
Yeah, you can go to our website. It's nbmf32.org, and you can make a donation on our website or learn more about our foundation there.
Awesome. And then you've got some events coming up this year.
Yes, May the 9th, we will have our 3rd annual Noah Bates Memorial Clay Shoot, and that has just doubled in size year over year, and I would expect that to trend to follow this year. And that's on May the 9th. And then May the 10th and the 11th, which is Mother's Day weekend, we have the Noah Bates Memorial Baseball Tournament this will be our 3rd year in a row with that. So we're going to have a busy weekend over Mother's Day. But hey, it's so worth it. We get out there and meet kids, talk to kids, and that's what it's all about. If we can just save one, the whole thing's worth it.
That's right. Well, appreciate you doing that, and just giving back to the community like you guys do, and everything that you've done to help us. I'm sure you do it for others too. Just both you and Katie just have such a big heart and always looking to help folks. So really appreciate it, and again, appreciate you coming in and talking to us.
Well, thank you, Joe, for the opportunity. I so appreciate the invite, and looking forward to long-standing relationship as we move forward together.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir.